Good morning. We are on the first official day of Just Broth. Now, a little point to note also, since I'm trying to stay in the apogee phase of the fast and extend that using the broth, I'm not adding anything else to it. But if you were to start feeling a little bit weak or soft during this time, sometimes even extending the fast, sometimes offering a little bit of food makes you feel more hungry. To me, this is actually more of a step up challenge. I already controlled myself around food for 24 hours, but now I have to control eating food, but just the tiniest portion, and it's just enough to get by to my next meal. And it's like that's a whole other thing that I have to deal with without having any kind of anxiety. Um, for me, they say a lot of times they'll say, "Well, that causes it." For me, I feel like it was already there, and for me, it's more like recognizing it, finding out where it's coming from, learning how to deal with it, learning how to not suppress those feelings because I think they're legitimate feelings. You're feeling hungry. It's just reminding yourself that you are very powerful within your body and that you're not starving. And it's more of a mental game for me, to kind of help stop some of the extra food noise. Now, if I started feeling a little bit weak in this phase at any point, because I have work today, so I want to make sure everything is clear about that. If any point I start feeling kind of like, tired and woozy or whatever, I'm going to break code and I'm going to go find meat somewhere that's just meat and I'm going to eat it, because I'm going to move to the next node faster. Um, this whole point is to just extend the fast, which is already gone for 24 hours. If it can go for 48 hours, that's great. If it's going to make me feel sick, that doesn't help anybody. So we want to make sure we stay within reasonable boundaries within the zone. Also, I'm not really big into limiting the amount of broth. I feel like, especially after a couple nodes of doing this, the broth itself, even though this tastes like the fatty parts of a steak, I swear, because I roasted the bones first before I went, so it's like it tastes like wings and like fatty steak in a broth. It's actually quite delicious. But it's still just bone broth. And after a while, I don't care how much bone broth you drink, you're going to get tired of drinking bone broth, so you're probably only going to drink it if you're hungry. So, I mean, for me, I really don't limit the amount of bone broth that I have, and it's even got the marrow blended into it. So this girl is thick. And I've got the collagen, the other kind of collagen in there, and so it's pretty well. It actually does fill me up when I drink two cups of this with the collagen in there. I do feel full. For quite a few hours, and it does kind of help me work with those feelings, like I said, with the food. Because at the end of the day, for me personally, I need that amount of self control around food, or I end up, it's worse than mindless. Because of the ADHD, I kind of like stim with food, so I can actually be quite mindful about my overeating and be sitting there like eating as it's like a stimulation of dopamine for me. And so I have to actually like separate my whole brain from that kind of thought and like think of food as like a nourishment tool and something that's good for me. And I just have to constantly remind myself that I do love food, as long as I'm not eating it to the point where I feel guilty or sick, or suddenly, my clothes don't fit 2 weeks later. And it's like, no, these habits really are important for me to get a hold of. I really definitely want to make sure we're making the message clear. This is because I have an intensely difficult trouble with this. The techniques that I'm sharing could be taken way too far down the other side of the scale, just like overeating can go too far up the scale for me. And so I really want to express, make sure that you're staying within a healthy weight range. Make sure that you're doing this under the direction of a doctor who would agree with you that you need to lose weight, that fasting is appropriate for you, that, high protein isn't going to hurt you in some way, that there's no medical conditions that are going to cause you any kind of suffering during this weight loss or workout plan. So there's not much else to say. We're in the feeding portion, but this is where a lot of people mess up their fast. This is where a lot of the weight gain comes back. And actually, I went up to the 155 after broth, and then I went back down to 153.6. So technically, I am down 1.4 pounds so far. And because I've been staying relatively hydrated, and honestly, since I started eating the broth, I've had 3 cups so far since last night, and starting off this morning with another 2 hefty cups. Like I said, I'm going to bring out some more for lunch today, and I will, if I don't get back in time, I surely will cave before the end of the day, and I hope that I don't, but honestly, I should have scheduled this whole thing a day ahead. I should have done the fast on Saturday and the broth fast on Sunday because I have those 2 days off. I really like to have that kind of preparation, and I didn't. I decided to do Sunday, Monday, and so we'll see. The effects should still be the same, minus like the apogee part. We basically, I like the cellular repair. I like the. I notice like scars start to heal, little pimples and stuff start to kind of like heal up a little bit and go away. I can notice little minor differences in my skin. And so I do like to try to extend the fast section a little bit because of how good that is for your body's restoration processes. But there's always next week, is the other point too. I like that about this kind of node cycling because it's like if you get a node and you just mess it up, you can just start again next week, you know? And I like to do that too. Like I said, on my days off. So it's just like if something's wrong, just go back to like high fiber, high protein, good healthy food, during till you get to your next node, and then get on to it again. It's real easy. You get right back to it, and it's nothing. So I'm going to get to this hot soup before it cools off, and I hope you're having a great time. Cheers.